The space station called Horizon's Edge floated in the cold darkness near a dying red star. It was old and huge, built from metal and glass, and the dreams of 100 different species. 47 alien races lived there, trading goods and secrets and lies. Ships came and went every hour. Credits changed hands in dark corners. And in one small section of the station, behind thick walls and warning signs, lived the humans. Hal pressed his scaled face against the dirty window of a bar called the Sleeping Void. His 4 arms hung at his sides. His yellow eyes watched the crowd inside, but his mind was somewhere else. He was thinking about money. He was thinking about the debt he owed to very dangerous people. They were a proud race. They had scales like gemstones and 4 strong arms. They were fast and clever, but Hal had made mistakes, bad deals, wrong choices. Now he owed 50,000 credits to a crime lord named Thorax the Collector. Thorax did not forgive debts. Thorax collected what was owed one way or another. Sometimes he took money. Sometimes he took body parts. Hal had 3 station cycles to pay. After that, Thorax would come for him. He walked into the bar and found his contact sitting in the back. Which meant he looked like a pile of green jelly stuffed into a transparent suit. He had no bones, no solid shape. He simply flowed from one form to another as he moved. Most species found disgusting. Hal found them useful. "You look terrible," said. His voice came from a small speaker on his suit because had no mouths. "I need work," Hal said. He sat down across from the jelly creature. "Fast work, big money." "Everyone needs money. What makes you special?" "I am desperate. Desperate people work harder." Made a wet sound that might have been laughter. His body bubbled and shifted inside his suit. "I like that answer. I have something for you. A job that nobody else wants. Very easy, very profitable, but there is one problem." "What problem?" "The location." Slid a data chip across the table. Hal picked it up with one of his lower arms and plugged it into his wrist device. A map appeared in the air above the table. It showed the station layout. One section was marked in red. "The human sector," Hal said. His voice was flat. "Yes." "You want me to steal from humans?" "I want you to steal from their lunch station. That is what they call it. A place where they keep their food. Human food, Hal. Do you know how much human food is worth on the black market?" Hal knew. Everyone knew. Human consumables were legendary across the galaxy. They contained chemicals that no other species could make, substances that gave pleasure, energy, power. Rich aliens paid fortunes for small tastes of human food. A single container of something called chocolate could buy a small ship. "Why is this job available?" Hal asked. "Why has no one taken it?" "Because people are afraid of humans." "Humans are soft. They have no claws, no scales, no armor. They are slow and weak." Bubbled again. "That is what everyone says. And yet their sector has warning signs in 30 languages. And yet no one goes there. And yet the last 3 crews who tried to rob them were never seen again." Hal felt a small chill run down his spine. But then he thought about Thorax. He thought about what Thorax would do to him in 3 cycles. Suddenly, the humans did not seem so scary. "I will do it," he said, "but I need help. I cannot do this alone." "Find your own crew. I am only the information seller. Bring me human food, and I will pay you 100,000 credits. That is enough to clear your debt and start fresh." 100,000, twice what he owed. Hal's heart beat faster. This was his chance, his only chance. He left the bar and went to find his brother. Was younger than Hal by 2 cycles. He was bigger, stronger, and much less smart. He worked at the loading docks, moving cargo with his 4 powerful arms. When Hal told him about the job, his eyes went wide. "The human sector? Are you crazy?" "I am desperate. There is a difference. The stories say humans are monsters. They eat poison for pleasure. They keep predators as friends. They survive things that would kill any normal species." "Stories," Hal said. "Lies told to scare children. I have seen humans. They are small and fragile. They have flat teeth and soft skin. How dangerous can they be? Thought about this. He was not smart, but he trusted his brother. How much money? 50,000 for you. 50,000 for me. When do we leave? They found their third crew member in a tech shop near the lower levels. Her name was, and she was the best security slicer on the station. She was small and thin, with a hard shell covering most of her body. Her people were called and they were known for their skill with machines. Human sector, she said when Hal explained the job. That is suicide. That is 100,000 credits. Clicked her mandibles together. She was afraid. Hal could smell it on her, but she was also poor, and poor people made risky choices. I can get us through the doors, she finally said. But I am not fighting anyone. If there is trouble, I run. There will be no trouble. We go in during their sleep cycle. We take the food. We leave. Simple. They spent 2 days studying the maps and planning their route. The human sector was not heavily guarded. The humans seemed to rely on their reputation more than actual security. The warning signs were everywhere, written in bright red letters. Human territory. Enter at own risk. Biological hazards present. Biological hazards, said nervously. What does that mean? It means they are trying to scare us, Hal replied. Humans are good at psychology. They make themselves seem more dangerous than they are. It is their only defense. On the night of the job, the three of them gathered at the entrance to the human sector. The corridor beyond was dark and quiet. Strange smells drifted through the air. Something sweet, something sharp, something that made Hal's nose burn slightly. Last chance to turn back, whispered. Hal thought about thorax. He thought about debt and death and desperation. No, he said, we go forward. They stepped into the darkness and the door closed behind them with a soft hiss. Somewhere in the distance, something was breathing. Something was waiting. But they did not know that yet. They were still thinking about money. The human sector was not like the rest of the station. The air was different here, heavier, warmer. The gravity felt slightly stronger, pulling at Hal's body in ways that made his muscles ache. The lights above them flickered with a strange white glow that hurt his eyes. Why is everything so bright? Whispered. Humans evolved on a planet close to their star, answered. She was reading data from her wrist device as they walked. They need more light than most species, also more oxygen, also more heat. Their home world is considered a death world by galactic standards. Death world. High gravity, extreme temperatures, dangerous predators, poisonous plants, violent weather. Most intelligent species evolve on peaceful planets. Humans evolved on a world that was trying to kill them every single day. Hal did not like this information, but he kept walking. They had come too far to turn back now. The corridors were empty. It was the middle of the human sleep cycle, and most of them were in their living quarters. Strange posters covered the walls, pictures of food with words written beneath them. One showed a flat circular thing covered in red sauce and melted white substance. The word said Pizza Friday in big letters. Another showed a brown drink with steam rising from it. Coffee is life, it said. What is coffee? Asked. A stimulant drink, very popular among humans, very valuable on the black market. Hal pointed ahead. There, that is our target. The lunch station was a large room at the end of the corridor. The door was sealed with an electronic lock. Moved forward and pressed her device against the panel. Her thin fingers danced across the screen. Simple encryption, she said. These humans are either very confident or very stupid. Maybe both, Hal replied. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The smell hit them like a physical force. Hundreds of different odors mixed together in ways that made Hal's head spin. Sweet and sour and bitter and sharp. Some smells were pleasant. Others made him want to run away. They stepped inside. The lunch station was bigger than Hal expected. There were tables and chairs in the center of the room. Along the walls stood large cold storage units with glass doors. Shelves were filled with containers of every shape and color. Heating devices sat on counters. Strange machines with buttons and lights waited silently in corners. "We have maybe 15 minutes before the next security sweep," said. "Work fast." They spread out across the room and began filling their bags. Hal opened a cold storage unit and found rows of bottles and containers inside. He grabbed everything he could reach. A jar of red paste labeled hot sauce Carolina Reaper, a container of brown liquid called soy sauce, a bag of orange sticks with the words Flaming Hot CHETOS on the front. Was working on the other side of the room. He found a shelf full of dried foods, bags of something called beef jerky, containers of nuts covered in bright powder, small packets with wasabi peas written on them. Filled her bag with drinks, bottles of brown liquid called whiskey, cans of something named energy drink with a warning label that said contains caffeine, a container of brown powder marked instant coffee extra strong. "This is too easy," said. He was smiling now, his fear forgotten. "They left all of this unguarded. Humans really are stupid." "Do not get comfortable," Hal warned. "We are still in enemy territory." But was not listening. He had opened a container of jerky and was smelling the contents. His stomach made a loud noise. They had not eaten before the job, wanting to stay light and fast. "Just a small taste," said. "No one will notice." "Brother, do not." But had already put a piece of jerky in his mouth. He chewed twice and swallowed. For a moment nothing happened. Then his eyes went very wide. "What is wrong?" Opened his mouth, but no words came out. His scales were changing color, going from blue to bright red. Smoke began rising from his lips, actual smoke. His body started shaking violently. "What is happening to him?" screamed. Hal grabbed the container his brother had eaten from and read the label. "Ghost pepper jerky extreme heat, not for the weak." "It is poison," he said. "The food is poison." Fell to his knees. He was making horrible choking sounds. His 4 hands clawed at his throat. Blue liquid leaked from his eyes and nose. The chemical inside the jerky was burning him from the inside. Hal grabbed a bottle from a nearby table and poured it into his brother's mouth, hopping to wash away the poison. The liquid was clear like water. It smelled strong and sharp. Screamed. The sound was loud and terrible. Whatever Hal had given him was not water. It was something called vodka, and it was making everything worse. "We need to go," said. "We need to go right now." "I am not leaving my brother." "Then carry him, but we need to move." Hal grabbed and lifted him with 2 of his arms. His brother was heavy, but fear gave him strength. They turned toward the door. And then they heard it. Click, click, click. The sound of something moving in the corridor outside. Something with claws, something heavy. "What is that?" whispered. Hal put his brother down slowly. He pulled his plasma pistol from his belt. The clicking sound was getting closer, louder. Whatever was making it was coming toward the lunch station. "Hide," he ordered, "both of you." Ran behind a storage unit. Crawled under a table, still shaking and smoking from the poison in his body. Hal stayed where he was, his weapon pointed at the door. The clicking stopped. Silence filled the room. Hal could hear his own heart's beating. 4 hearts pumping blood through his body. 4 hearts that were suddenly full of fear. Something appeared in the doorway. It was a creature unlike anything Hal had ever seen. It stood on 4 legs and had fur the color of dark wood and black night. Its body was pure muscle. Its eyes reflected the light like golden mirrors. Its mouth was open, showing teeth that were white and sharp and designed for one thing only: killing. The creature did not bark or growl. It simply stared at Hal with an intelligence that made his blood turn cold. This was not a mindless animal. This was a hunter, a predator, a thing that had evolved to chase and catch and destroy. Hal's translator device beeped and displayed words on his wrist screen. It had scanned the creature and identified it. Species lupus. Common name, dog German Shepherd variant. Classification, domesticated predator. Danger level, extreme. Note, humans keep these creatures as companions. Companions. The humans kept this monster as a friend. They slept in the same rooms as this thing. They fed it and petted it and called it by name. What kind of species makes friends with death? The dog took one step into the room, then another. Its eyes never left Hal. Its nose twitched, smelling the air, smelling fear, smelling prey. Hal fired his plasma pistol. The shot went wide, hitting a wall and leaving a black burn mark. The dog did not flinch. It did not run. It simply moved. Fast, so impossibly fast. In the time it took Hal to fire a second shot, the dog had crossed half the room. Its teeth were coming for his throat. Its claws were coming for his flesh. And somewhere in the station, alarms began to scream. The lockdown had begun. There was no escape now. The dog hit Hal like a missile made of muscle and teeth. They crashed together onto the hard floor. The plasma pistol flew from his hand and slid across the room. Pain exploded through his body as claws raked across his scales, finding the soft spots between the armor. Hal had fought many enemies in his life. He had faced criminals and pirates and angry merchants, but he had never faced anything like this. The dog was not just strong, it was relentless. Every time Hal pushed it away, it came back. Every time he blocked one attack, another followed. The creature fought like it had been born for war. He used all four of his arms to hold the dog back. Its teeth snapped inches from his face. Hot breath washed over his scales. The smell was terrible. The dog had eaten meat recently, fresh meat, the kind that screamed before it died. "Help me," Hal shouted, but was already running. She had found a ventilation shaft near the ceiling and was climbing toward it with desperate speed. Her small body fit easily into the narrow opening. She looked back once, her eyes full of guilt, and then she was gone. Tried to stand. He was still burning from the poison inside him. Blue smoke rose from his mouth with every breath. His movements were slow and clumsy. He grabbed a chair and swung it at the dog. The chair broke against the dog's back. The creature did not even notice. It was focused entirely on Hal, on killing Hal. Red emergency lights began flashing. A voice spoke from hidden speakers in a language Hal did not understand. Then his translator kicked in. Lockdown initiated. WAPONS fire DETACTED in Lunch Station 7C. All personnel report to stations. Repeat. Lockdown initiated. Heavy blast doors slammed shut across every exit. The sound echoed through the room like thunder. They were trapped now, trapped with a monster. Hal managed to roll sideways, throwing the dog off him for a moment. He scrambled backward on all fours, putting a table between himself and the creature. The dog circled left. Hal moved right. They watched each other like fighters in a ring. "Good creature," Hal said slowly. His translator converted the words into sounds that the dog might understand. "Nice creature. I do not want to hurt you." The dog tilted its head. For one beautiful moment, Hal thought maybe it would listen. Maybe humans had trained it to respond to words. Maybe he could talk his way out of this. Then the dog jumped over the table. Teeth found Hal's upper right arm. They bit deep, cutting through scales and muscle. The pain was beyond anything he had ever known. He screamed and punched the dog with his other arms again and again. The creature took every blow without letting go. Its jaw was locked. Its eyes showed no emotion. It was not angry. It was not excited. It was simply doing what evolution had designed it to do. Destroy appeared behind the dog with a large metal pan in his hands. He brought it down on the creature's head with all his strength. The sound was like a bell ringing. The dog finally released Hal's arm and turned to face this new threat. "Run, brother," said. His voice was weak, Blue liquid dripped from his lips. "I will hold it. I will not leave you. You must. One of us has to survive. Tell our mother what happened. Tell her I died with honor." The dog attacked. This time it went for the legs, biting and tearing, fell hard. He kept swinging the pan, hitting the dog again and again, but his strength was failing. The poison had spread too far through his body. Hal grabbed his plasma pistol from the floor. He aimed at the dog, and the creature were tangled together. He could not get a clean shot. A new sound reached his ears, a scream, high and sharp, coming from the ventilation shaft. The scream cut off suddenly. Then there was only silence. Then a soft thump as something fell from the shaft and landed on the floor. Her body was covered in deep cuts. Her shell was cracked in dozens of places. She was not moving. She was not breathing. Behind her, emerging from the ventilation shaft, came another creature. This one was smaller than the dog. It had soft fur and pointed ears and eyes that glowed green in the red emergency light. It moved without sound, like a ghost made of flesh and claws. Hal's translator identified it. Species. Common name, cat domestic. Classification, ambush predator. Danger level, high. Note, humans keep these creatures as companions. Another companion, another monster disguised as a pet. The cat sat down next to his body and began cleaning its paws. It looked at Hal with complete disinterest. It had already killed. It did not need to kill again. Not yet. Stopped moving. The dog released him and stepped back. Blood covered its muzzle. Eyes were open but empty. The poison and the wounds had finally taken him. He was gone. Hal was alone now. Alone with a dog and a cat in the bodies of his crew. He ran. He did not know where he was going. The blast doors were sealed. There was no escape. But he ran anyway because running was all he could do. The dog chased him. Its claws clicked against the floor with every step. Click, click, click. The sound of death following close behind. Hal crashed through a door into another room. This one was smaller, filled with shelves of supplies. He slammed the door shut and pushed a heavy shelf against it. The dog hit the door from the other side. Once. Twice. The metal bent inward. It would not hold for long. Hal looked around desperately. He needed a weapon, something better than a plasma pistol, something that could stop that monster. His eyes found a shelf labeled kitchen supplies. On it sat various metal objects, knives, spoons, and something large and black and heavy. He picked it up. It was made of solid iron, shaped like a flat circle with a handle. His translator told him it was called a cast iron skillet. Humans used it for cooking. But it was heavy, it was solid, it could crack skulls. The door burst open. The dog came through like a furry demon. Hal swung the skillet with all the strength in his 4 arms. The pan connected with the dog's head. The impact traveled up his arms and into his shoulders. The dog stumbled sideways, shaking its head. For the first time it seemed hurt, not stopped, not defeated, but hurt. Hal swung again and again. The dog fell back, giving ground. Hope sparked in his chest. Maybe he could win. Maybe he could survive. Then the dog snarled. The sound was low and deep and full of rage. The creature was done playing. It was done testing. Now it was serious. It came at Hal with terrible speed. The skillet caught it once more, but this time the dog pushed through the blow. Teeth found his leg, his arm, his side. Each bite was fire. Each bite was death taking another piece of him. Hal fell against a shelf. Containers rained down around him. One of them broke open, spilling brown powder across his face. His translator identified it. Instant coffee extra strong. He remembered what it said. A stimulant. Something that gave energy. Something that might give him the strength to survive. With bloody hands, Hal grabbed the container and poured the brown powder into his mouth. He swallowed as much as he could before the dog pulled him down again. The effect was instant. His 4 hearts began beating faster, then faster, then faster still. The world became sharp and bright and impossibly fast. Colors exploded behind his eyes. His thoughts raced like ships jumping through hyperspace. But something was wrong. His hearts were beating too fast. His blood was pumping too hard. The caffeine was not giving him energy. It was killing him. The last thing Hal saw before his hearts gave out was a door opening. A human stood there. A female. She wore soft clothes meant for sleeping. In her hands was a weapon that his translator called a shotgun. She looked at Hal. She looked at the dog. She said something in her strange language. His translator gave him the words. "Duke, drop it. That is not food." Then everything went dark. And Hal knew nothing more. Sarah lowered her shotgun and sighed. It was 3 a.m. station time. She had been sleeping peacefully, dreaming about beaches and sunlight and a planet she would probably never see again. Then the alarms had started screaming, and Duke had begun barking, and now she was standing in her pajamas looking at a dead alien covered in coffee grounds. "Damn it," she said, "I just bought that coffee." Duke sat down next to the body and looked up at her with proud eyes. His tail wagged slowly. He had done a good job. He had protected the food station. He deserved a reward. Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out a small treat. She tossed it to Duke, who caught it in midair and swallowed it in one bite. "Good boy," she said. "Very good boy." Other humans were arriving now. The lockdown had woken everyone in the sector. They came in groups of 2 and 3, carrying weapons and flashlights. Most of them looked annoyed rather than scared. This was not their first emergency. Life on Horizon's Edge was full of surprises. Was the first to reach Sarah. He was a big man with dark skin and a shaved head. He worked as a cargo handler during the day and played poker with Sarah on weekends. He looked at the dead alien on the floor and made a face. He said, "What was it doing in our lunch station?" "Stealing, probably. Look at all the bags they brought." They walked together through the damaged room, counting bodies. 3 aliens in total. 1 near the entrance, covered in burns and blue liquid. 1 in the main area, torn apart by something with sharp teeth. And 1 in the storage room, dead from what looked like a heart attack. "3 thieves," said. "3 dead thieves. Duke has been busy." Duke and Sergeant Whiskers. Sarah pointed to the ventilation shaft above them. A small orange cat was sitting there, cleaning his whiskers with one paw. "Looks like our little soldier got one too." Laughed. "That cat is a menace. Remember when he killed that ambassador's pet?" "That was an accident." "Was it though?" More humans gathered around. They examined the bodies with curiosity rather than horror. Someone found the stolen bags and began emptying them onto a table. "Hot sauce," a young woman named Lisa read from the labels. "Whiskey, energy drinks, coffee, wasabi peas. These idiots tried to steal our snacks." "And they ate some," an older man named Frank added. He was looking at the first body, the one covered in blue liquid and burn marks. "Ghost pepper jerky by the looks of it. Poor bastard never had a chance." "Ghost pepper is dangerous for humans too," Lisa said. "Dangerous, not deadly. There is a difference." Frank crouched down and examined the body more closely. His entire respiratory system collapsed. The capsaicin must be extremely toxic to biology, probably hit his system like acid. Sarah felt a small twinge of guilt. She had always known that human food was different, stronger, more intense, but she had never really thought about what that meant for other species. To her, hot sauce was just hot sauce. To this alien, it had been poison. "Should we feel bad about this?" she asked. Shook his head. "They broke into our home. They tried to steal from us. Duke and Whiskers were just defending their territory. That is what animals do." "Duke is not just an animal. He is family." "Exactly, and family protects family." The station security team arrived 20 minutes later. They were led by a tall named, who had gray skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle around his head. He looked at the scene with all 6 eyes and made a sound that might have been disgust. "This is the 4th incident this year," he said to Sarah. "4th group of aliens who tried to enter your sector without permission. 4th group found dead." "We did not kill them," Sarah replied. "Our pets did, and our food, and possibly our coffee." "Your coffee." Sarah pointed to the 3rd body. "He ate a whole container of instant coffee. I think the caffeine stopped his hearts." Stared at her for a long moment. His 6 eyes blinked one at a time from left to right. "You keep poison in your food storage," he said slowly. "You keep predators in your living spaces. Your entire sector is a death trap. It is just home to us. That is what makes your species so terrifying. You do not even realize how dangerous you are." The security team began the long process of documenting the scene. They took pictures of the bodies. They collected samples from the stolen food. They interviewed the humans who had responded to the alarm. Everything would be filed in a report that nobody would read. Sarah went back to her quarters to try to sleep, but her mind would not settle. She kept thinking about the aliens, about their faces frozen in pain and fear, about the desperation that must have driven them to attempt something so stupid. Duke followed her home and jumped onto her bed. He curled up at her feet and closed his eyes. Within seconds, he was snoring softly. "You killed someone tonight," Sarah said to him. "Does that bother you?" Duke did not answer. Dogs did not think about such things. They protected, they defended, they loved. Everything else was simple. Sarah wished she could be that simple. In the morning, life returned to normal. The bodies were removed. The lunch station was cleaned. Someone put up a new sign that said, "Please do not feed the aliens" next to the coffee machine. It was meant as a joke. Most people laughed. The news spread quickly through the station. Another failed robbery. Another group of aliens who had underestimated the humans. The other species talked about it in whispers, adding new details to the legend. "They say the humans have a beast," a merchant told his customers. "A monster with 100 teeth. It guards their food and kills anyone who comes near." "They say their food is made of fire," a trader said to his friends. "One taste and your insides melt." "They say they drink poison every morning," a worker told his family. "It makes them stronger, it makes them faster, it makes them impossible to kill." The stories grew with each telling. The truth became legend. The legend became myth. And the humans who just wanted to eat their lunch in peace became monsters in the minds of the galaxy. Sarah heard some of the stories and shook her head. They were not monsters. They were just people. Normal, ordinary people who liked their food spicy and their pets friendly. But she understood why others might see it differently. She had grown up on Earth, where everything wanted to kill you. Sharks in the water, bears in the forests, snakes in the grass. Humans had survived by being tougher than everything else. They had learned to eat things that would poison other species. They had learned to befriend predators that would terrify other races. They had learned to thrive in conditions that would kill almost anyone else. It was not their fault that the rest of the galaxy was so fragile. That night, Sarah sat in the lunch station with a cup of coffee and a plate of spicy noodles. Duke lay at her feet, chewing on a bone. Sergeant Whiskers sat on the table, watching the door with patient eyes. "Just another day," Sarah said to no one in particular. Duke wagged his tail. Sergeant Whiskers yawned. And somewhere on the station, another group of aliens was planning another robbery, not knowing that they were already dead. They just had not met Duke yet. Chief Warden sat in his office and stared at the report on his screen. His 6 eyes moved independently, each one reading a different section of the document. It was a habit he had developed over 30 years of security work. It let him see the whole picture at once. And right now, the picture was deeply disturbing. The report was titled Incident 4491, unauthorized entry, and subsequent DEATHS in human sector. It was the fourth such report this year. The 49th since had taken command of station security. Every single one ended the same way: aliens entering human territory and never coming out alive. He began typing his official summary. Station Security Log Incident, number 4491. Location, Human Sector Lunch Station 7C. Date, Station Cycle 447, Third Quarter. REPORTING Officer, Chief Warden, Badge number 7721. Summary of EVENTS. At approximately 300 hours station time, automated systems detected weapons fire in the human food preparation and storage facility known as Lunch Station. 7C lockdown protocols were immediately activated. Security personnel were dispatched to the location. Upon arrival, officers discovered the remains of 3 nationals inside the locked facility. All 3 subjects were deceased. The human residents of the sector reported that they had been awakened by alarms and found the intruders already dead or dying. Subject analysis. Subject 1 was identified as of the Merchant Collective. Age approximately 15 cycles. No criminal record. Cause of death was determined to be acute capsaicin toxicity combined with severe physical trauma. Capsaicin is a chemical compound found in many human foods, particularly those labeled as spicy or hot. To humans, this compound causes a mild burning sensation that they apparently find pleasurable. To most other species, capsaicin is a dangerous toxin that attacks mucous membranes and respiratory systems. Subject 1 had consumed a human food product called ghost pepper jerky. Within minutes of consumption, his internal tissues began to break down. His respiratory system filled with fluid. His scales changed color due to severe chemical burns. He also sustained bite wounds consistent with an attack by the human companion animal designated Duke. Subject 2 was identified as of the Technical Guild. Age approximately 22 cycles. Minor criminal record for data crimes. Cause of death was determined to be severe lacerations to vital areas. Subject 2 attempted to escape through the ventilation system of the lunch station. She was intercepted by the human companion animal designated Sergeant Whiskers. This creature, classified as a domestic cat, weighs approximately 6 kilograms. It killed Subject 2 in less than 30 seconds. When questioned about this, the human residents expressed surprise that it could be killed by such a small animal. One resident commented that Sergeant Whiskers usually only catches rats. Another resident gave the cat additional food as a reward. Subject 3 was identified as Hal of the Merchant Collective. Age approximately 17 cycles. Extensive criminal record including smuggling, theft, and assault. Cause of death was determined to be cardiac failure due to caffeine overdose, combined with blood loss from multiple bite wounds. Caffeine is a stimulant chemical that humans consume daily, often multiple times per day. They put it in drinks called coffee, tea, and energy drinks. They consider it necessary for normal function. To most other species, caffeine is a powerful drug that can cause heart failure in high doses. Subject 3 consumed approximately 200 grams of pure instant coffee powder in an apparent attempt to gain strength for fighting. This amount would be dangerous even for a human. For it was instantly fatal. His 4 hearts accelerated beyond sustainable limits and stopped within seconds. Additional notes on human companion ANIMALS. This incident marks the 17th confirmed kill by the animal designated Duke. Duke is classified as a German Shepherd dog. He weighs approximately 40 kilograms and possesses teeth capable of generating over 200 pounds of bite pressure. Humans keep this predator in their living spaces and refer to him as a good boy. This incident marks the 9th confirmed kill by the animal designated Sergeant Whiskers. This animal is classified as a domestic cat. Despite his small size, he has proven to be an efficient killer of beings much larger than himself. Humans allow him to sleep on their furniture and sometimes dress him in small costumes for photographs. When questioned about the danger these animals pose, human residents consistently express confusion. They describe Duke as friendly and Sergeant Whiskers as lazy. They do not seem to understand that these creatures are apex predators by galactic standards. Human response to incident. The human community has filed an official complaint regarding the disruption to their sleep cycle. They have requested reimbursement for the food items that were damaged during the incident, including 1 container of ghost pepper jerky, 1 bottle of vodka, and 1 container of instant coffee. When asked if they wish to press charges against the deceased intruders, the human representative declined. She stated, and I quote, "Nature handled it." This response is consistent with previous human reactions to similar incidents. They do not view these deaths as significant. They do not feel guilt or remorse. They simply clean up the mess and continue with their lives. Analysis and Arisiomimiendiationes. Humans are classified as a Category 7 species. This means they evolved on a planet with conditions so hostile that survival required extreme physical and psychological adaptations. These adaptations include tolerance for toxic substances that would kill most species, ability to bond with dangerous predators, persistence hunting instincts that allow them to track prey for days without rest, pain tolerance far beyond galactic norms, a psychological tendency to view extreme danger as normal. The human sector of this station is, for all practical purposes, a death zone. Every aspect of human existence is lethal to other species. Their food is poison. Their pets are killers. Their medicine would stop most hearts. Even their entertainment is dangerous. They watch recorded images of their kind jumping from great heights, fighting each other, and performing acts of deliberate self-harm for pleasure. I have recommended, on 17 separate occasions, that the human sector be sealed off from the rest of the station. I have recommended, on 17 separate occasions, that additional warning signs be posted. I have recommended, on 17 separate occasions, that automatic defense systems be installed to prevent unauthorized entry. These recommendations have been rejected each time. The Station Council believes that humans are valuable trading partners and that restricting their movement would damage economic relations. I understand this reasoning. I do not agree with it. My new recommendation is simpler. We should stop investigating these incidents entirely. The warning signs are clear. The dangers are documented. Any being who enters human territory without permission has been informed of the risks. If they choose to ignore those warnings, their deaths are their own responsibility. Nature handled it. Perhaps we should let nature continue to handle it. Final notes. The creature called Duke has been given a special commendation by the human community. He now wears a small medal on his collar that says Defender of the Snacks. The creature called Sergeant Whiskers has been given additional wet food and a new scratching post. The human female who discovered the bodies has returned to her normal schedule. She was seen this morning drinking coffee and eating something called a breakfast burrito with extra hot sauce. When I asked her if she was disturbed by the events, she looked at me with genuine confusion and said, "Why would I be disturbed? Nobody I care about got hurt." Nobody she cared about. 3 beings died in her home, and she felt nothing. This is why humans terrify me. Not because of their pets, not because of their food, not because of their strength or their endurance or their tolerance for pain, but because they simply do not understand that any of these things are unusual. To them, death is just another part of life. To them, danger is just another word for Tuesday. To them, a galaxy full of fragile species is simply a galaxy full of beings who need to be more careful. The warning signs will remain, the reports will continue, the bodies will keep piling up. And the humans will keep eating their spicy food and petting their predator companions and wondering why everyone else is so afraid of them. End of report. Filed by Chief Warden. Recommendation status pending. Expected outcome ignored as always. Note to self, do not accept dinner invitation from human residents. They say the food is mild. They are lying. They do not know what mild means. Nobody who eats ghost peppers for fun knows what mild means.